Welcome to Visual Literacy, a series of YouTube videos based on the Visual Literacy Workbook for Graphic Design and Fine Art students by David Moyer and Brian Flynn, published by Oxford University Press. Chapter 1, Visual Literacy. Visual literacy is the ability to see and understand or read a visual image for its form and content. Form is an abstract quality expressed in matter. Roundness, as an example, exists first as an idea. That idea is expressed in matter when we see it in a fruit or vegetable or ink on paper. The elements of visual form, design elements, are line, plane, volume, color, value, and texture. Images are composed of formal design elements that harmonize with one another to complete a picture, much like the notes of a musical score or the grammar, spelling, and syntax of a written text. One learns to write by studying the role of these elements in forming prose. Learning to design, compose, and read visual images requires a knowledge of visual form and the design principles that govern their composition. We study the parts of an image and learn how they fit together. One develops the ability to recognize visual form by separating visual information from objects that may represent or feelings associated with design elements, such as color and the atmosphere it may create. Content is the message communicated by a visual image and may be categorized as formal, symbolic, or narrative. Many images may be a combination of all three categories, though all must be formal in order to be visually perceivable. Formal content refers to the abstract qualities of design elements and their interaction in their composition of a picture. Images may be solely formal in content. Such images are vehicles for an artist's visual speculation, being purely aesthetic in its concerns, much like an instrumental musical score. Symbolic content represents meaning beyond a design element's appearance. A dove may be perceived to represent peace, brilliant light, goodness. There is quite a bit more to say about symbols, which will be covered in subsequent videos. Narrative content is expressed through an image that tells a story, be it religious, historical, or literary, or commercial. Piet Mondrian's painting entitled Composition in Red, Yellow, Blue, and Black is purely formal in its visual content. As indicated by its title, consisting of repeating rectangles that contrast with one another in size, proportion, orientation, and color, the stable network of vertical and horizontal spatial divisions is completed and enlivened by the triangulating lines of sight created by the reds, yellows, blues, and blacks. A strong narrative dominates the visual content in Emanuel Leutze's painting, Washington Crossing the Delaware. The image depicts a historical event, Washington's crossing the Delaware River to launch a surprise attack on Hessian mercenaries near Trenton on Christmas night, 1776. The dramatic depiction of the crossing is heightened by several formal relationships. The stark value contrast created by the sky's sun and clouds. Asymmetrical balance creates visual tension between the left and the right sides of the painting, which is enhanced by the contrapoised diagonal edges of the boatman's oars, the figure of Washington, and the flag. This scene is anything but a journalistic portrayal of the event. Washington stands in the boat, striking a pose, high in contrast with that of the other figures in the image. His body forms a triangle or truss shape, symbolic of architectonic strength and durability, a true monument for the newly emerging nation. Jan van Kessel's 17th century Vanitas still life is primarily symbolic in its content. The large human skull, symbol of death, is placed in the center of the picture plane, making it, along with its contrast in color and scale, a point of visual focus. The skull is surrounded by flowers in full blossom with their attendant butterflies, symbols of life at its most vibrant. The hourglass to the right of the skull is symbolic of time, which is busily running out. The painting's narrative content, life is short, is implied through its symbolism. Pictures are composed of visual forms and the messages to which they give expression. A better understanding of a picture's formal qualities will enrich our perception of its content. In the following chapters of visual literacy, we will explore form and then take a structured look at visual content.